Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am so glad you are here with me today. Let's see who's here. Philippa, good morning, early morning to you. Michelle, hi. We've got a little bit of blue skies over on our side of the mountain. How about you? I am taking a deep breath before more craziness descends upon us. Yesterday, the sheetrock guys were here working in the living room, in the studio, my husband's office, the hall bathroom, my quiet corner. Hi, Carol. How are you doing today? And so they got the sheetrock in all the places, and they're supposed to be back sometime today to mud. He said between 12 and 1. I figure about 12:30 I'll get a phone call and they'll start marching in here with all their stuff. So we are just going to have to roll with it. And I know you guys have been awesome about rolling with things with me for the last, we hit 8 months today. It has been 8 months since, whoops, wrong way here, since we started all these projects. So it has felt like a wee bit of a lifetime to me. Let's see, some of my stuff went slightly different than it was supposed to. No, I don't want to move that one. I want to go over here. I don't know why if I change that and now I go back to here, there we go. It's like I get it all set up before I go live, and then I go live and my system decides to do weird stuff. Hey, Sue, how are you doing? Yeah, sun's trying to show through. A nice day. Yeah, I see lots more blue. Yesterday afternoon, it seemed like the clouds were coming in, and somebody said that we might get a little bit of rain, but I don't see any in our forecast. So what I forgot to do before I covered everything in the studio with plastic, even though the sheetrock guys covered things with more plastic because I'm like paranoid about sheetrock dust getting into my fibers, I forgot to pull anything out to work on for the live. And it's going to be like this for a couple weeks. But I had this little piece out, and oh yeah, a fortune. Let's see. So far, we have spent about $350,000, and we're not done yet. I had this little piece, and I have one skein of this left, and I was able to find some more felt and my small hoops. So I'm going to add some more French knots to another piece, and then I can join them together and make something. And I think some of you have seen the video I posted of all the beautiful yarns my client sent me from France. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then Saturday I went out to our local yarn shop and got some more wools. She sent me mohair, cashmere, alpaca, baby alpaca, bamboo, and cotton. So I went and got some silk and some wool, and she and I went back and forth on all the colors. This is actually green, so I'm not sure what your screen is showing, Michelle. Does everybody else see blue, or do they see green too? Because this is more of my greens. So I'm ready to kind of start blocking things out. She and I talked a little bit more about what she wants. She wants it to be wild and kind of abstract, but with all the colors that she loves from when she visits Tuscany. So that gives me a little bit more freedom. Yeah, Philippa, oh my gosh, they just feel amazing. And so now I'm trying to think about how I'm going to approach this. Yeah, it's a very dark teal, and then she sent one slightly lighter teal, and I had some bamboo yarn that actually was very close to those colors. So I figure I can wrap the mohair and bamboo together and do something. I don't know. We're just going to have to see what it comes up with. She said she wants it just to be really wild, lots of texture. And I don't know. I'm thinking in terms of shapes. I'm looking at a lot of pictures of landscapes. And because I don't sketch, my brain doesn't automatically know what to do. So it's going to be a great learning experience for me to figure out how I can, go forward with this and create something that not only makes her happy, but makes me happy to work on. And I know it's going to inform future work. Why is it no one calls until I'm involved with the live stream? I know, Sue. That's why I totally expect the sheetrock guys to call me or just show up like in about a half an hour, because that's just the way it seems to go. But we're here. We're always here. Not a big deal. No, I got it caught on the other side. We're just going to roll with it. I managed to thread 7 needles. But yeah, there was like nothing out. I've got this one here that I was working on last week, and I've kind of falling out of love with the colors at the moment. They're reading very gray, and it's probably because I'm looking at so many brighter colors for this commission, which I'm falling in love with the colors, which is great. I'm very happy to know that my heart is not going, eh. Hey, Terry. She said, wild is definitely your kind of zone. Yay. Yeah. And I told her when we very first started discussing the project that if she wanted me to create a representation of a photograph or of a place that she had visited, I was not going to be able to do that because that's just not the kind of art that I create. It's just not me. And she said, no, she wanted something very wild, but with these colors. And after a lot of going back and forth with the colors, and then I sent her pictures of all the various stitches and textures that I create, because sometimes, some people look at a bunch of bullion knots and they're like, ooh, I don't like those. And so I sent her pictures of each individual one and let her go through and let me know if there was anything that, she wasn't crazy about. And she loved them all. So I feel like I have a wonderful amount of freedom to play with in this project. It's going to be a lot of fun. And once I get past the trying to figure out where to start, that's what it is, whether I'm doing a commission or something on my own. It's like, where do I start? I mean, I'm looking at this little one, and originally I thought, okay, it's a small one. I'll just start filling in grasses here. But I realized I only have the one skein of it. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll make a few more small sections of it. And then I will do my little, fold it under and stuff it and then put them together and see what I come up with. It's different every time. And I like that it's different every time, although sometimes it's like, wow, if somebody knows they create something the same way every time, maybe it's a little bit easier in some ways, but you would have to be the kind of person that didn't get bored with what is similar in each project, even though there's, no two projects are going to come out identical. Terry, are you still making more of those beautiful cards? I just love that stained glass one that you posted. It was gorgeous. And Sue, is there another scroll in your future, or what's going on with you? Michelle, what are you working on? Houses, I think, were the last thing I heard that you wanted to go back to work on. I definitely had this zoomed in more. Wait a second here. There we go. You can even see all the little tally hairs. There's always tally hairs. But next week, I might actually be ready to flip the cameras and the whole setup around and work on my beads on my big white piece, because I think, I don't know how much of it you can see if I move my chair back here, but I think it's actually ready for beads. I got a few more things I'm going to stitch down this afternoon, and then it should be ready for beads. And I've got I've got tons of these beautiful glass beads that have just a little bit of shimmer. I don't know what they've done to them. And they're all irregularly shaped. And I am just going to use only the one color bead. Oh, Sue finished her book. I just finished my first little textile book in the Roxy Journal of Stitchery Project, Volume 9. Anybody else doing that project? They come up with some really great ideas, and they're getting so many people turned on to stitching. Oh, Terry says, I'm working on scenery cards with dogs and soon cats. Oh, Sue says, I'm thrilled that I know what I want to tackle for next month's book too. That's terrific. Yeah, I know you were kind of like slumping for a while and wasn't sure what you wanted to work on, so that's nice. Hey, Joanne, how are you doing? Do you have a lot of snow? Are you hunkered down and hopefully staying warm? What are you doing while you are tucked in away from the cold? Terry said the mosaic ones were easier, but I'm hoping to appeal to pet owners. I think that's a great idea. Michelle said, I ordered a bunch of brown stains to dye more fabric. They should be delivered today. I'm stitching another house. Oh, aren't these marvelous, Joanne? These are fabulous. I got these at, oh shoot, Terry, what's the place that sends us the catalogs all the time? That I know you don't buy from anymore because you're buying wholesale. Oh shoot. I cannot remember. It's going to come to me or it's going to come to Terry. Snow, ice, and cold. Ugh. Yikes. But you did get your heat last year. You had heat problems, right? You got your heater replaced or something. That's it. Fire Mountain. Thank you. I knew Terry would know. So Joanne, Fire Mountain beads. That's where I got them. And they have a wonderful search engine if you're looking for a particular kind of beads. No, it was Fire Mountain. And I could not remember the name of it. I knew somebody here would know it. Sue said, I've also got the binding applied to a quilt that's been waiting for 6 weeks or more. Oh, wow. Oh, Terry said, I started with a migraine, still trying to self-care. Oh, yikes. I was hoping that some of the stress would be behind you. Oh, and Terry's got 2 feet of snow. Yikes. Yeah, Fire Mountain is, it's a great place for beads. And I get suckered in every time by buying more, so I get the additional discount. But I've gotten some great beads from them. Hey, there's Sandy. How are you doing today? Just realized I don't think I ever focus this. Let's see. Set that focus in for a minute. Come on. Okay, doesn't want to autofocus. Fine. Let's see if I can get it to. No, it doesn't want to focus anymore. That's a little better. Sandy said, I decided to use some of my collected trash for journals. I'm making a mermaid journal using your digital. Oh, how fun. I haven't seen anybody use any of that for quite a while. Sue wants to know, Sandy, did you get the fabric I sent? I love that you guys are trading stuff around. That's awesome. I have been thinking about maybe putting up my old digitals on Fourth Wall, but I just don't know that I have the energy for it right now, but it is something I'm thinking about. Sandy said, yes, I did, Sue, and yours is on the way to you. Love it. A mermaid journal. So is it going to be a grungy mermaid journal, Sandy? Because, mermaid doesn't kind of scream Sandy. So that'll be interesting. It must be in connection with whatever Julie's challenge is, huh? Sue said, great. I have to trust my hubby to do the post office thing for me. Hey, Barb, how you doing? Wow. Terry said, I actually got about 70 of the mosaic style cards done. I'm still taking photos, Sue. Yeah, I figured. Sandy said, I can't help but grunge it. Yeah, I don't think you would know how to do it without the grunge. But that's what says it's a Sandy Moore journal, right? Carol's saying hi to everybody. Carol, what's going on in your corner today? You must have a ton of snow at your place. I love seeing the pictures of your dogs playing in the snow. Joanne said, I'm working on an altered picture frame with a winged mermaid. Ooh. Sandy said, I'm having a little bit of trouble realizing that I have a dirty mermaid. I would expect nothing less. Those altered picture frames are really cool that you do, Joanne. I saw they were actually showing it with real moss, of course, but I saw one where they had taken a piece of that neat kind of driftwood with all, or wouldn't it actually be driftwood because it had all the little branches off of it, like some of the pieces of wood I've bought that they go in a reptile aquarium, and they attached that to an empty picture frame and then had the moss and plants growing all over it. So I thought about that as something I might check out the thrift stores for some interesting looking frames and attach some wood to it and then do things with it. That might be fun. Sue said, I'm not going to share what popped into my head about your mermaid, Sandy. Carol said, not much today, just relaxing. Well, you need it. You go 900 miles an hour. Our snow is melting away. It's a warm week. Those pictures were 2 hours away at Abraham Lake in the mountains with the pups. Ah. Well, they look like they were having a good time out there. Terry said, you can call her Sandy after her grungy mama. Doesn't it sound like a good idea? It made me think about what else we could attach to the edges of these frames, because there's something about breaking that plane that you have. You see this frame and the expectations. And then, okay, let's just be what's weird. What do I have here? This is small, but let's see if I do it this way. If you're breaking the frame with things, your eye can just travel differently, and you can do it just with like dangly stuff. But, what if you had a giant button or an interesting belt buckle or something like that? And then or sticks hanging out of the frame. Oh, Terry said, I'm getting a kitty for my birthday next month. Oh, good. I'm glad. Hey, Philippa, what are you working on? Did you find your mojo? I know it's been missing for a while. I hope you found something to make you happy. Barbara said, I'm distracted because I just picked up a row of knitting on a leg warmer and I need to check to make sure the stitches are all going the right way. Yeah, I would never be a good knitter. I would put something down and then I would have to take it all out again because I couldn't remember what direction I was going. Carol said, have you ever stitched on weaving? A couple years ago, I got a small loom and I did a little piece and I thought about stitching on it, but I decided I was bored with the weaving. So I didn't, I wasn't ever going to have enough energy to make. I love the textures that people get from weaving, especially when they're using a lot of interesting knots and fibers. But, so other than that, I haven't. Anybody else here stitched on weaving? The felt is very easy. Wool is also super easy. Terry said, my first kitty baby in 40 years. Others have been adopted as adults. Oh, wow. Are you ready for a kitten? And is Dylan ready for a kitten? How is he going to handle having a new kitty come in? He's an old guy now. Philippa said, still in repetition mode. Anyone want hand warmers? My stitching is still sitting on the table. Oh, you're getting a Maine Coon? Oh my goodness. I love those cats. Wow. So do you already who you're getting it from and everything? Oh my goodness. You won't want to do anything except for play with that beautiful kitten. Hand warmers seem like they might be rather difficult to. Are you knitting or crocheting, Philippa? I mean, they're tiny. Hey, Sandy, just lurking and relaxing, trying not to freeze. Oh my goodness, 25 degrees below. Sandy's also up in Canada like Carol. Oh, wow. Wow. What part of Canada are you in, Sandy? He misses Miss Opal. Okay. Well, hopefully the antics of a kitten won't be too much for him. Yeah, Dylan's going to need equal time for sure. Crocheting, chopping, or in changing colors. Okay. Yeah, well, it's a good way to use up all those scraps of yarn that you have. Sandy's up in Manitoba. Brr, just thinking about that makes me cold. Wow. Carol said, Sandy, here in Alberta, we are plus 7 degrees. Wow. Sue wants to know, do you have a lot of snow, Sandy, or is it a dry cold? That's like freezing. Oh my goodness. Wow. Below freezing, way below freezing. This California girl would not handle that well. Michelle says, I love watching cat videos. I fall down the rabbit hole of course, the dog ones and the husky, since even though Tally's not all husky, she has so many traits that are common to huskies that we watch forever. Philippa said, the northern winters are awe-inspiring. We never have that here. Terry said, my last winter on the hill, it was a week of 40 degrees below. It's crazy at higher altitudes. Barbara said, Sandy, I'm watching some great women's curling out of Manitoba this week. The Scotties Tournament of Roses. Ooh. Sue said, we had a real cold snap last week, but nothing like Canada or even the Northeast US at the moment. Yeah. I mean, we hit maybe 39 this week a couple times in the middle of the night. So it was like in the 40s when we got up. That was enough for me. And of course, Tally loves going out in that cold. Oh, Tournament of Hearts, said Barbara. Sandy said, yes, we have quite a bit of snow. It was much colder last week. Yeah, Roses is the Los Angeles Parade. Well, you know, sometimes they reuse the names elsewhere. Sandy, I would imagine you just want to hunker down and stay safe, and hopefully you were all stocked up. You were prepped for the storm coming, so hopefully. Sandy says, I like watching the curling as well. Terry said, anything above 10 degrees feels not so bad now. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things they say you get used to. Like they say, if you go to Arizona, you get used to it being a dry heat. But she said, I grew up in Michigan. As a kid, I could handle the cold and snow. Not anymore. Yeah, it is what we get used to, isn't it? Roses would die in Manitoba right now. Yeah, I imagine, you know, the gardening is much different when you have to deal with such extremes of weather. All right, I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to mute you guys for just a minute. Wasn't the sheetrock guys, it was the gopher guy. Every couple of weeks we have a gopher trapper comes over and sets all the traps for us and catches all the gophers, or tries to. Freeze-dried roses, yeah. Terry said 30 below definitely needs the warmth of a wood stove. Yes. Michelle said, I don't like using my heater if I can help it. It's been about 45 degrees here at night. She's on the other side of the mountain from me in California. Sandy said, the rule is we don't plant our gardens until after the May long weekend. So here, because we do native plants, the ideal time to plant is like November, December, when the rains are supposed to come. But we weren't able to do a lot of that this year because stuff wasn't done. So I do have some things to get in the ground. Hopefully we'll have some more rain coming, but I'll probably have to irrigate this year. I don't do annuals. I don't want to have to, well, I might do some this year. I might do some marigolds around some of my plants that I want to see if I can keep the bunnies away from, because boy, they're destroying everything. And now that I have a new planter box outside the driveway, or it's outside the fence, I need to figure out what the deer will be less inclined to nibble. They can have some nibbles, but I don't want them to nibble everything down. Whoops, is it on this one? No, oh well. Got another long piece on the back that I didn't pull through all the way. Oh well. Let's fix this. Joanne said, I like to plant my blooming plants on the full flowering moon in May. Ah. Well, I am bummed. I have a big old long one on the back. That was a waste. I have a bunch of seed. Well, I had put out a bunch of seeds before the last rains, and the birds came in and got a whole bunch of them. So now I've been saving toilet paper rolls, and I make little planters out of them, and I'll plant a bunch of seeds and start them away from the birds so that I can put them. I've got a bunch of nasturtiums to start because I love the nasturtiums. I can get them going, and then they just come back every year. And they make me think of my grandmother. Orange nasturtiums and red geraniums. All right. Again, pause for a minute, guys. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, that was the drywall, guys. They'll be here in the next 30 minutes. So I will be here with you guys until they get here. And I will probably log off when they get here just so that I can talk to one of the guys that's coming over. He hasn't been here since we lost Zoe, and he was so in love with Zoe. So he's got to meet Tally, and I know he'll fall in love with her too. Terry said, I used to use special sleeves with water-filled tubes that look like little teepees that were placed over my tomatoes when I was gardening in the hill. Did that help against the rabbits? Water-filled tubes. That's interesting. I have some, they're like wire fences that you zip tie around the plants. And I've done that for some. Let's see. I got to get away from this. It's bugging me that I've got this stuff underneath. You know, and I kind of pick and choose where I really feel like I have to protect things around the trellis, around the pergola, since we really want those to take off. I'm not letting the rabbits have as much of that. Michelle said, had nasturtiums growing up, you can eat them too. Yep. When we first moved in here, we also had a lot of miner's lettuce that you can eat, but it hasn't come back this year. It hasn't come back for a few years. I don't know if the rabbits ate it or what. I have one plant that I was so happy to see come back, this red buckwheat. The rabbits had eaten it down to the ground, and now it's starting to come back. So I definitely want to protect it so it gets a chance to get a little bigger this time. When I was in kindergarten, we planted nasturtiums in egg cartons. And once they sprouted, we got to take them home. And my grandmother, who was very particular about her garden, actually let me plant them in a hidden spot in the back of the garden. And I just loved watching them grow. That was like the first memory I have of doing anything garden-wise. That and making lots of mud every time I watered the roses. Had to make little moats around the plants and fill the moats up. And I wasn't supposed to mess with them once they were there, but couldn't resist. I would like cut a little hole in one and then try and make it go to the next one so the water would have like a little waterway. So we got confirmation the painters are supposed to come in 2 weeks. So I asked the contractor to check with the painter and see if they could paint inside first so that I can put the studio back together, because I really need to get started on the commission, and it's hard to do much of that without being able to lay everything out. Have not heard yet. So the water in the tubes insulated the plants against temperature drops at night. I had to leave my fence and bury it in the ground. Rabbits, woodchucks, deer, moose, turkeys needed to be kept out. Yeah, you had a lot when you lived up there. Oh, so I can see. There we go. And the rabbits are pretty much the worst, because they can come inside the fence. The stuff out, we don't have that much outside the fence that interests the deer. I know they will chew on, like, we have a big row of privets along the back property line, and they'll chew the fresh growth coming up. But those plants, you can't kill them. You want to get rid of them, you got to dig the stumps out or grind the stumps out. This is good. This is making a nice dent in this, so I'll be able to put these guys together. Sue said, I guess there's something to be said for living in a suburban development. Yeah, when we lived in San Jose, we didn't have to deal with rabbits. When I did create a pot pond that I love so much, and I put it in our front courtyard, the raccoons came and tore all that up. We did have a possum that came through the yard every so often in San Jose. That was interesting. But I love all the critters here. I can't wait until everything's done and we can get our cameras back up, because we only have a few cameras going right now. Philippa, did you ever figure out what you were going to do with all the hand warmers you've been making? Sue said, we have had rabbits in the yard, but not a bunch. Yeah, I think about 5-6 years ago, when things were really lush in the yard, that's when the rabbits were very plentiful. And I know they were hanging out under the deck and nesting maybe under there or someplace nearby. And when I look at the pictures, I just can't believe it's the same yard, because it's just so much of the stuff is gone. And it wasn't from lack of water. It's just like things were just nibbled down to the bone. But now that we've cleaned out a lot of the excess, some stuff is trying to come back. Hey, Connie, how are you doing today? She's a bit late, but finally made it to join in. We are glad to have you here today. Are you just hanging out and relaxing and listening, or are you working on anything today? We have been talking about how cold it is in some of the places like Manitoba, where poor Sandy is, and our gardens and our projects. Philippa said, not yet. Plenty for all the grandies and maybe donate. That's a good idea. So you were talking about ideas on what to do with a lot of little projects too once upon a time. Did you ever come up with, I know you donate, you make a lot of quilts that you donate to a specific place, but I know it's a question that comes up a lot. If we're slow stitching to feed our soul and you end up with a whole lot of small projects, what are you going to do with them? Terry said, raccoons ate the chickens who refused to go in the coop at night. They roosted in the trees, perfect for late night snacking. Yeah, I think, that would be hard. I almost thought I wanted to. Connie is on holiday in the Canaries. Oh, wonderful. Are you having a marvelous time? I hope. Sue said, the scrolls and now the little books are just piling up for the most part. I've only given 2 away so far. When I was looking at my trailer that was running when I started the live, I was thinking about just so many pieces of art that I don't have anymore because I've sold them. And I think there's something to be said for keeping some of it around and to reminding you. Connie said, making my miniature moss pieces. Terry said, woohoo, yay, Connie. Yeah. Michelle said, I still like to make my cards. Yes. Well, one of the things I'm having them do here with the sheetrock is they have closed in 2 areas in the studio because I really didn't have any walls to hang my art. So I was looking at my shop and trying to decide what I want to hang in there. And I still think I'm probably not going to hang a lot of the older stuff. I think it's going to be inspiration to fill up with new wildscapes and new white pieces. I know where I want this white piece to hang in there. I was all set to order this one hanging system so that I could continually adjust it, but I have to investigate some more because I'm not sure, since I'm not working on canvases, if it's the right system for me. I might just have to stick with nails. Sue said, I have a vision of my grands choosing the ones they like best to have of a memory of me when I'm gone. Oh, that's a sweet idea. I like that. And you should write down, just to have, like, bury it. Like if you have a basket that they're all sitting in, and the bottom of the basket should be a letter from you talking about you working on those projects and what you were thinking of. And I think that sounds like a marvelous idea. And Terry said, yeah, awesome, Sue. Well, Connie, working small, I admire because I find it very difficult to work small. This is let's see, what is this? This is a 5-inch hoop, and it feels tiny to me. So I'm trying to get, I think 8 inches, an 8-inch hoop feels like a good size. So I'm trying to think, okay, can I work in an 8-inch hoop and do a complete scene in an 8-inch hoop? That's what I'm going to try with this commission project, to come up with some samples and make sure I've got an idea of how I want to create it. But it's very hard to go small. Yeah, Sue, I thought that was a good idea. So you could, we always will. I mean, there are things we don't think about when we're kids to ask our parents or grandparents. Oh, Philippa, that's a beautiful idea. She said, like the quilting lady that had all her quilts over pews at her funeral, and anyone could take one. What a lovely way to remember somebody. She says, yeah, I like that idea too. So easy to take your little ones on holiday. Yeah. Plus then, your fingers itch, right? Even when you're away from home, your fingers itch to do something. I've been saving a lot of pictures on Pinterest about little pieces done in Altoid tins and teacups and that sort of thing, just because little things fascinate me. And I have this collection of hundreds of glass animals that I've collected over the years when I was a kid. They used to be all over my bedroom and on top of mirrors and stuff like that. And I keep thinking I'd like to do something with my little things and, put one of the little animals in each one, because the scale would be right. Barbara says, that's a great idea and a good reason to have a memorial service, Philippa. I'm adopting it. Yeah. If you had, because you do wonder, all your supplies and all your stuff that's finished but doesn't have a home, where's it going to go? Joanne said, what inspired you to work with those glass beads, Susan? Well, to be honest, these were not the beads I was looking for when I bought them. I thought they were another glass bead I had that didn't have the shimmery on them that I used on the complete set of white ones that I did for Open Studios. And so when I went to Fire Mountain Beads, I ordered what I thought those were, and I ordered a bunch. I have 4 of these containers full of these. And so at first I was a little disappointed, but they're going to be perfect. I can't really get the camera over there, but in this white piece, I just kind of threw a few down just to see what it looked like. And they're the perfect shimmer to go in there. And I mean, I've done enough white pieces. I enjoy working in the all white. So it's just another challenge. It's going to be hard for me not to go grab more white beads, but I think just using this one glass is going to reflect, because there's a lot of sparkle I used a lot of this yarn in that white piece. Well, not a lot. I use it because I used it as an accent, but there's a lot of sparkle in it. And I think I want those beads to do the same sort of thing. Connie said, I can't go without my crafts, even on holiday. Yeah, if I took holidays, I would have to take something too. Philippa said, saw that idea online years ago. She had a lot of quilts. I think that was just a typo. A lot of yeah. Carol says, take care, Susan. Going to get some things done. Bye, Carol. Thanks for joining us for a little while. Have a great creative week. Joanne, you'll go nuts if you go look at Fire Mountain. There's so many beads to choose from. And I love their search engine. I get a lot of gemstone chips from there too that will eventually find their way onto a Wildscape. Philip is off to town after it's town day and roadworks in the summer. Oh, so lots of traffic, huh? If it's anything like roadworks around here. One thing I can say about working in a much smaller hoop like this is it is easy to see that you're making progress. I mean, I could work on this tonight and probably finish filling it, which maybe I will do that. We have just reached the end of our ease with all this construction stuff, and we're just so exhausted by the end of the day when everybody goes home. I look around for the dog every time I'm about to cough because she gets so afraid of the coughs and the sneezes, taking a tissue out of the tissue box. Poor thing. I don't know what that all reminds her of, but must have bad memories. So if I work on a small one of these, it'll be a good way to test out the way that my client wants me to finish the piece. She wants it finished like a hanging quilt with the sleeve in the back. She doesn't want it to be anything that would go in a frame. And it's not like it'll be hard to do that. It's just going to be different. Joanne said, that's a good idea about sharing your art at your memorial service. I think I will do that. I want a tea party for my celebration of life with lots of flowers. I will give away my art to attendees. Isn't it a lovely idea? It really is. Sue says, that would be lovely, Joanne. I have one friend that volunteered to come take all the art supplies so that my husband wouldn't have to deal with it, and she'll take care of distributing them. Terry said, perhaps her first owner had poor health. She was definitely neglected. Yeah, who knows? I know I'm not the only one that wishes our adopted animals could tell the stories of what happened before they came to us. Sometimes we know a little bit. Sometimes we know just enough to get frustrated on their behalf. Wow, I went through 7 needles pretty fast. I didn't cut the yarn super long. I got to thread a new needle. Yay. Hello to all the lurkers out there. I see the numbers of the eyes going up. You don't have to join the chat. We're just glad to have you here. Sandy said, my philosophy has always been you'll be a knowing where it's going if you do you're given while you're living. That's why I give my things away now. That's another good idea. Let's see. Well, and everybody, sometimes there's something that just speaks to somebody. They just can't, they're not somebody that normally buys art, but there's something that speaks. Hey, Margaret, Good early morning to you. How are you doing today? It's hard to appeal to everybody all over the world, you guys, in all the different time zones. So Margaret is in Australia. I'm happy to see you here. And where Sandy's freezing cold, Margaret's probably pretty hot, right? I can hear the hummingbirds chirping outside. They've been having a good time feasting on the beautiful pink blossoms of our ribes. So I've been cutting off pieces of the current ribes and staking them all over the yard so we can have even more of them. They come into bloom right after the manzanitas are done, so there's always something, and the sages should start up as soon as the ribes are done, so that'll be the next feast, and when that's done, then the fuchsias should be going. Joanne said, love your philosophy, Sandy. Margaret, lots of highs to you from Sandy and Joanne and Sue. Philippa said, saw those temperatures, Margaret. What did you get? Yeah, Philippa's in New Zealand. So we've got international here from Canada to Australia to New Zealand, all across the United States. We don't have our gal from Turkey here or Germany, unless they're lurking, which is totally fine. Margaret said, hi, Susan. Not good in the last few days, but I am here. It's quite cool here at the moment, which is a welcome relief from the heat we had last week. Ah, yikes. Well, I'm glad you're feeling a little better today. Even the country of Kansas. Yeah, your own country, right? Your very own country. Ah, Barbara said, I give up 60 stitches ago. I knit wait a minute. I give up 60 stitches ago. I knit 2 together because I thought I needed to. Now I count, and I did not need to. Oh, yeah. Knitting sounds a lot like math to me. Not fun. I was chatting with another friend recently, and we were talking about different things to do to create texture, and she asked me if I could crochet. I said, I can chain stitch and single crochet. That's it. And then I looked at a book on that hyperbolic crochet, and they started talking about math, and I'm like, nope, I am out of here. Oh, and Connie's in the Netherlands. I'm sorry, I totally forgot, Connie. Yes. So look at that. We are such an international group. Thank you for the reminder. I forget. I should have a map with all you guys' names and remembering where everybody is. But then knowing me, I would pile something on top of the map and I would lose it. I wonder how many things we're going to find when construction is finally done and we can put the house in order and the garage in order. It's going to be quite the surprise. Yeah, we haven't had Julia for quite a while now. I know it had to be frustrating that she didn't speak the language and she had to just watch. Barbara said, so now I'm going back and unknitting till I get to my double stitch. I type ditch for stitch and that seems more right now. Yeah, sometimes that's, I have another piece out. I almost started stitching into it, but I didn't have a green that worked. I have been taking out a bunch of stitches. I realized it was an experiment that didn't go right. And then I reached a point where they were all French knots. And it's like, no, I'm not taking out. I'm just going to stitch over those. You can't do that with knitting. That is one nice thing about stitch. I can just knit right or stitch right over the stuff I don't like. But I'm going to go get some food instead. Yeah, I don't blame you, Barbie. You need sustenance for something like that. I'm starting to think about lunch after this. Definitely going to be ready for it. Okay, Connie, I see the appeal of working small. Look how this was completely empty when I started with you guys. Barbara said, be right back. If you're going off, I'll say so long right now. And thanks for the stream. You're welcome, Barbara. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll stay until I see the sheetrock guys show up. Terry said, I can reprime canvases. Yeah, that was always nice. You know, when I was doing anything with paper and glue. Philippa says, don't forget the thumbs up button. Thank you for that. And the white piece has got tons of texture because I stitched over so many things. I had a bullseye, and that was definitely not the focal point that I wanted. Yes, it sounds like the guys are here, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here this week, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye for now.